Alrighty, this is a PDV040 amplifier that I saved from a skip bin recently. The workplace had shut down that was using it, and what they used to do was they'd have this installed in their ute, and when they were doing water shutdowns, emergency works for like blowing water mains and things like that, they would actually, on this little SD card here, they would play through like a megaphone on the roof that your water's going to be shut down, there's a boil notice and things like that. But when I got it back home and plugged it in, it did not work. So this little video here is basically a bit of a live stream. It's not very good quality, I will warn you of that first. I'm still getting used to all the live stream stuff. But this video will basically show you how I went about fixing it and the troubleshooting I did to figure out what was even going on. Enjoy. So as you can see, there's actually two power inputs, a 240 volt and a 12 volt. The 240 volt's basically what you'd get from your normal house connection, and the 12 volt was used for the installation inside a vehicle, running off a 12 volt battery, of course, of a car battery. Now, lucky enough for me, I actually picked up a second amplifier that was getting thrown out, and then later on down the line a third as well. As you can see from the second one though, someone's already had to go at rewiring this. Now this should have been a huge red flag, and I did note it, and I thought, what is going on here? In hindsight being 2020, possibly I could have solved this mystery a lot quicker had I paid more attention to that, but you'll see as we go along. Either way, I found an old IEC C13 plug which I had plenty laying around in the cord drawer, and plugged it in. As you can see, it was no good. I tried all the buttons and switches, which is always a good tip, and even gave it a quick shake to see if I could hear anything loose inside. My next plan was to make sure that the old power cable wasn't the issue. I used the continuity test function on my multimeter to test the wiring. If you're new to electronics, a continuity tester is a must-have. You can solve a lot of easy problems with one of these. They are easy to use and the base models are very affordable. I confirmed that the cable was not the issue and moved on to the fuse. I did a quick visual inspection and it looked fine, though I have been fooled in the past when wires burn out under the caps, so I did a continuity test on the fuse too. No issues here. Sadly, no easy fix today. The only thing left to do was to see what is inside. Now keep in mind when doing this there are some dangers involved with open circuitry, especially stored charge and capacitors. Be very careful when trying this at home. After a bit of searching, I found a loose wire coming from the power transformer. I got distracted by this for a moment and went on an unnecessary side quest to remove the switch, but there was no obvious signs that the wire had fallen from it. I then noticed a cut wire coming from the power cable connection. I thought heavily about it and assumed the obvious conclusion was that I needed to reattach the broken wire. I was, however, still a little reserved, but since it was a free product and was already not working, I decided to test it live by touching the loose transformer wire to the power plug socket. Success! Foolishly blinded by the fact I'd managed to power it on, I decided to quickly solder the wire off screen. Luckily, I tested it before putting it back together, as I quickly noticed the switch was not working. I had power, but I couldn't turn the power off. Again, in hindsight this seems obvious, but there were two wires attached to the switch that I had incorrectly assumed were working. I decided to think it over for a moment and ended the stream for the day. In between streams is when I received my third amplifier and decided to also check inside that one to see if there were any more clues. Sadly, it was wired in the exact same way as the other two. The consistency was great, but did not help me solve the issue. I triple and quadruple checked the circuit and consulted a diagram I found online for transformers to confirm my hypothesis. I deducted that the original wiring must not have accommodated the 12 volt within the switch, instead relying on the accessory switch within the vehicle. It is likely, since the 240 volt was not needed, that the person that modified this just cut and repurposed the switch for the 12 volt. This theory all comes from my background working in service vehicles. Battery drain is a major issue with flashing lights, RTs and such. Commonly we would install a bunch of switches to help keep this under control. Now all that was left to do is re-hardwire the 12 volt, cut my hardwire from the 240 volt, and connect the switch in series. Time for some soldering. And after all that, turning it on didn't cause an explosion. It all seems to be in working order, and I tested all the functions to complete my evaluation. This is what I live for. I encourage everyone to give this kind of thing a go. So much of what goes to waste is perfectly usable, and a lot of broken electronics are easy repairs. I also welcome any advice on what I can do to improve my techniques. I'm self-taught and I love to learn new things. Anyway, I bet you're itching to see this thing in action, so here it is. Rightio, so here it is in all its glory, and yes, it does turn on. It auto plays from this SD card, which can be controlled here.
Attention! An emergency repair requires the water in the street to be shut off in 5 minutes. We will reconnect your water as soon as possible.
I'm not too sure which is supposed to go where, but...
Attention! The emergency repair is completed and your water is reconnected. Thank you for your patience.
And another one.
Attention! A boil water notice is in place. Please boil all water before using it for drinking, teeth cleaning, food preparation and cooking until further notice.
Stop. I think it's stopped. Looks to be. Also USB in. Microphone, and a line input. I actually tried my guitar and the guitar works through there as well, so that's probably what I'm going to use one of these for, is making my own amp of some description. I've got a few ideas a long way down the line, but also it has this obnoxiously loud alarm. The animals don't like it, so you get a quick glimpse, and it's really loud, even through this shitty little like surround sound speaker. Anyway, thanks if you made it this far into the video, and definitely follow along. The quality will hopefully improve as I get used to all the techniques, and I'm hoping to do some more live streams. I've already figured out a few problems I've been having there, so they'll get better as well. Feel free to do the obvious, the like, share and subscribe and all that, and thanks for watching.